Britain was the Wild West of the Roman Empire. You're a long way from Rome, and there's always a large military force in Britain, probably bigger than it would normally be because the far north is never conquered. Only one person, I think, could claim to have conquered the far north of Britain from a Roman perspective, and that's very briefly, and that's Agricola for a few months. Severus almost did, but then he died in York. So the Romans usually have, I think, about 12% of their entire military establishment in Britain in what is only 4% of the geographic area. So this is a very, very big military force in that particular area. There's also a very clear divide between the south and east and north and west. So if you're living on a line south of the Severn to the Humber, you may as well be in Gaul. You're a full fat functioning part of the Roman Empire. If you're north and west of it, even though you're within the frontier, but you're in the north and west of the province, you're in something very different. You're in a part of Britain where there's this significant military presence. So the whole regional economy is bent on maintaining the Roman military. So you have a much better experience in Roman Britain living in the south and east than the north and west, in my opinion. And then you get a build-up of military activities throughout the 2nd century in Britain, which is all well referenced in the primary sources. Usually when you have a new dynasty or a new emperor, so most Roman emperors would see Britain as a place where if they needed some martial success, they could pick a fight easily, either Britain or on the Parthian, later the Persian frontier. And then towards the end of the 2nd century, around the time Commodus becomes the emperor, you have the first mention of two major tribal groupings in the far north, the Moitiers, who are broadly in the Scottish borders and in Fife, and then the Caledonians in the upper Midland Valley and into the Highlands. So what's happened there is an amalgamation, from a Roman perspective anyway, because that's the source we're using, the Roman sources, an amalgamation of the tribes that Ptolemy described earlier into now these big confederations, probably through contact with Rome.